these.
The suspense is killing you, isn't it? When I look at this glass, I see my country. Buttermilk versus modern America. Right? It's kind of weird, right? But the fact is that buttermilk and modern America, they're like those siblings that just keep fighting and fighting and fighting. They cannot exist in the same part of the space-time continuum together. But the other interesting thing is that if you look at buttermilk, it actually tells the story of modern America. And if you want to understand modern America, you should probably learn how to make it. Now, lucky for you, I know how to make it, so prepare to be dazzled. Get a cow. Got to start with a cow. You milk the cow and into a bucket, then you let the cream rise to the top. Then you skim the cream off and you put it in a different bucket. Now repeat that process a bunch of times until you've got a bunch of cream, enough to justify the laborious process that is making butter. So you take that cream, you pour it into your butter churn, and you just keep churning up and down. This is not fun, by the way. It takes a long time, 20 to 30 minutes. You just churn that butter, agitating it. And after a while, a very interesting thing happens. The little membranes that surround the globules of fat in the cream suddenly rupture, releasing this tide of little pieces of fat that glom together onto all the other little pieces of fat. So the end result is butter, this congealed glob of fat, and this liquid that we call buttermilk. Now, humans have been making butter for thousands of years, long time. So it's safe to assume two things. One is that given that we spent a lot of our history as yeoman farmers who struggled every day just to get enough to eat, it's safe to assume that out of necessity, we drank buttermilk. It's also safe to assume that given the lack of other beverages around, that buttermilk is one of the most popular beverages in the history of humanity. So who here drinks it? Anybody? Not a single person. What happened? How did we go from one of the most popular beverages in the history of humanity to nobody in this room drinking it? Modern America. That's what happened. Modern America happened. It brought us industrialization, massive wealth creation, and unbridled competition. Let's take industrialization for starters. Where do we get our butter these days? We don't get it from the family cow. We don't even get it from the town dairy guy a la Tevye and Fiddler on the Roof. No. We get butter from a big corporation, and that big corporation has an economic incentive to take all the cream in a very large region and take it to one central area where it's processed into butter and then frozen and then distributed in their just-in-time supply chain economics. It's a very modern, efficient, cheap way to do things, and we all get butter for less money than we used to. They also get buttermilk out of this process, which they have no use for since it's perishable and hard to distribute. So what they do is they dry it into a powder and sell it to IHOP. So if you've ever eaten buttermilk pancakes at IHOP, those are better called buttermilk powder pancakes. Wealth creation. Post-war America, all of a sudden we have a lot more money than we used to. Now, one of the first things people do when they get some money is they stop acquiring tastes for things that are not immediately pleasurable to the taste buds. So for instance, many of us tonight have been eating pieces of cow. Yes? Cow meat. Whereas in previous generations, we would have probably also eaten the eyes, the brains, and the liver of that cow. Today, just the meat, because we're rich enough that we can afford to send those other parts to wherever they get sent, maybe thrown away, or hot dogs, who knows what it is. The third problem is competition. Whereas before you may have had milk, buttermilk, water, maybe some wine occasionally, although that's pretty expensive for your average peasant farmer. Maybe some beer, same deal. Today we have this vast cornucopia of beverage choices that have just killed poor buttermilk here. Everything from Coca-Cola. We have entire shops dedicated to boba tea. Now what is that really? Boba tea, little tapioca balls? That's a beverage these days. And of course we've got $2 Chuck, which is ever alluring, and it's another temptation that's out there. It's another nail in the coffin for poor buttermilk here. So it's a noble beverage. I happen to like it myself. I guess I'm the only one in the room who does. I think it tastes great. It is definitely an acquired taste, and it is not compatible with modern America. But really, when it comes to modern America, if you want to know the story, you just look into that glass. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much.